So, good morning, everyone. Today we'll be presenting a case, the iPremier company case. It's on distributed denial of service attack. Uh, so, yeah. So first, we will start with a small discussion, introduction to the company. So, iPremier company is in the e-commerce business, and their product which they sell are luxury, rare, and vintage goods. So the prices of the products range from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars. Their clientele is basically a high-end clientele, so their customer trust in with the products which the company is selling, as well as the services offered by the company, is going to be very crucial for the success of this company. And in 2017, they have over 1 million regular customers in their database. Regarding the competition that the company faces, iPremier is already one of the top two websites in that field. Their main competitor is MarketTop, and though the product is the main good which they are selling here, they feel that the competitive edge which iPremier enjoys is actually the user experience enjoyed by the customer. So basically on attractive websites, the after sales service, the seamless service for the customer while purchasing and using the goods. Coming into the management culture of the company, so the company basically comprises of younger long-term employees who have been there with the company for long and experienced lateral hires. So the salaries are above average salaries, and mostly the above average part comes as stock options for the employees, and the compensation is linked to the performance. So the entire atmosphere is very intense, and with the quarterly reviews and removal of unsuccessful managers. So basically, the characters in this case study are Bob Turley, who is the Chief Information Officer, and he has just recently joined the company. Next, we have the CEO, Jack Samuelson. Bob Turley feels that he enjoys the confidence of the CEO, even though he has just joined only recently, because right now he is in New York with a high-profile assignment. The other, Tim Mandel, is the CTO, Chief Technical Officer, and one of the co-founders of the company. Bob Turley has a good working relationship with Tim Mandel. Next character is Warren Spangler, who is the Vice President of Business Development. And then we have Peter Stewart, who is the legal counsel for the company and who is providing the legal perspective to the various incidents in this case. Joanne Ripley is the operations team leader who's taking care of the cybersecurity operations for this company. And Leon Ledbetter is another employee in the operations team. We have developed a storyboard kind of presentation explaining what is happening in the case, and we hope you'll enjoy it. So the events in this case begin at early 4:30 a.m. in the morning. So Bob Turley gets a call from Leon Ledbetter from the operations team.
So why are you calling me at 4:30 in the morning, Leon?
Mr. Turley, we are facing trouble accessing our website and we've just been receiving mails which says, ha ha ha. I'm new to the organization and have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
At this moment, Bob Turley decides to directly call Joanne Ripley, who is the team leader for the operations.
Okay, hi John. Can you say what's going on actually?
Bob, right now I'm not sure what's happening, but it actually doesn't look like a simple DDoS attack.
So while this conversation was going on, Bob Turley is interrupted by another phone call. This time it's from Warren Spangler, the Vice President of Business Development.
Hi Bob, I hear something is happening and I'm sure stock is going to take a hit tomorrow, but you just don't have to worry about it. I'll handle the PR.
Okay, thanks Warren. And we are also working from our side to achieve the best solution that is possible. Thanks for your input.
After that interruption, so Bob Turley goes back with his conversation with Joanne Ripley.
So Jan, can you tell me now, do you have any emergency procedure since the attack has happened, or do you have any incident response team or crisis management procedure which we can follow now?
Bob, actually we've got a BCP, but it's not been updated and we actually haven't practiced incident response.
Okay.
Bob Turley had actually expected a company like iPremier to have an updated disaster response plan and an incident response plan. But he was surprised that they didn't have all that. But he also realized that it was his responsibility as a CIO to have looked into these issues. So now he's gone back discussing other options with Joanne Ripley.
So Joanne, what's next? What are our options, and are they stealing our data?
I can't give you an answer right now. I'm not sure what's happening. Let me first go to QData where our server is and access the web server to see what's going on.
So QData is the data server for the website, and they have been a long time service provider for iPremier. However, iPremier knows that they are not actually a very competent service, and the only reason they chose QData is because of the proximity to the office. Now, Bob Turley decides he needs to call Tim Mandel, the CTO, with whom he has a working relationship, and to get some advice on how to proceed.
Hi Tim, hope it's a very exciting morning. So it seems like we are being under attack, and so should we proceed by cutting the connections?
Cutting the connection, I wouldn't recommend it, but we might because we might need some evidence. But it is highly unlikely that we can preserve the log data.
Okay.
The log data detailing feature had been removed as a part of a measure to increase the customer experience by 20%, because that will delay the interactions. So that feature had been removed, and now perhaps they might be rethinking about that. This time, another interruption, and this time it's Peter Stewart, the legal counsel.
Hey Bob, it's Peter Stewart from the legal counsel. I would recommend you to completely cut the connection because it will risk our customers' personal information.
Okay, I understand your perspective, Peter. So thanks for the input, and I'll see what I can do.
And now Bob returns back to his call to Joanne.
So hi John, what's in any update?
Bob, they're not letting me into the building. Can you please escalate this issue? It's very urgent. You know what it is. Now, I think it's an attack on our firewall.
Okay.
So this time at 5:27, Jack gets the call which he had been hoping he wouldn't get. This is from the CEO. I mean, Bob gets a call from the CEO.
Bob, the stock is probably going to be impacted and we'll have to put a solid PR face on this. But that's not your concern right now. You should focus on getting us back and running. Understand, Bob?
Yeah, sure, Jack. And though everything's not going according to our plan, but still we are working our plan, and we'll try to get the best solution. Thanks for having my back. So hi John, what's the situation now?
Bob, as expected, it's a DDoS attack. It looks like a sync flare from multiple sites has been directed on the router that runs our firewall.
Okay. So what can we do right now? Is the customer data safe at least? Are we sure of it?
I can't cut the traffic in as they are spawning the zombies. There is nothing that makes a DDoS attack and an intrusion mutually exclusive. So I'm not sure if they are stealing away our customer data.
Okay.
At 5:26, the entire attack suddenly stopped, and Joanne now calls Bob again to give an update on this new development.
Hey Bob, the attack just stopped. It just stopped. I didn't do anything.
Oh my god, really? So, I mean, what are we supposed to do now? To just cut the connections, or can we resume the business as usual?
The website is perfectly running. We can resume the business as usual, but I recommend we shut down and let's search what the issue is.
Okay, I'll consider.
So, at the end of all these events, Bob now has to make a decision, and he knows that his advice is the one which the company is going to follow. So basically, he has 4 perspectives from 4 different people, starting with the CEO, who wants to get the business back up and running. At the same time, he wants to ensure that the customer data is protected and there are no legal backlashes to whatever action the company is going to take. At the same time, he's looking at his ops team leader, Joanne Ripley, who has recommended that they shut down everything and get expert cybersecurity consultants to go over the entire system and check if there are any ticking time bombs or any customer data breaches which they haven't actually known about right now. On the other hand, we have the senior management from the business development side, who represented by Warren Spangler, who has already mentioned that he has a personal motive in this because he wanted to encash his stock options. So he wants to get the business back up and running because the stock prices will take a hit for a long time. And finally, we have the legal perspective provided by Peter Stewart, who has had asked to cut the connection and to protect the personal information and avoid any legal consequences. So based on these 4 inputs and perspectives, the decision will have to be taken by Bob Turley.
Okay, so now coming back to the case and the presentation. So we've been hearing DDoS attack in the whole presentation. That is what the iPremier had faced. So let's just deep dive into what DDoS actually is. So DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service and is often used as a network attack. And these attacks are a subset of denial of service attack. So what are denial of service attacks? So these are attacks where the attacker attempts to overwhelm an internet connected asset with the aim of making it unavailable to the legitimate user. So an analogy for this can be like if you've been someone who've been traveling in the public transport, always every time, especially in the Mumbai locals, if you've traveled, the doors will be always crowded with passengers. So the legitimate user who needs to step out in the station might not be actually able to do that. So this is what actually denial of service attack does to victims server. Now that we've understand what denial of service attack is, let's understand how is DDoS different from DOS attacks. So in DOS attacks, it just uses a single source device and then creates fake traffic and exhausts the server resources. And this usually occurs in a very smaller scale. And in attacker's point of view, it is actually very easy to identify the attacker in this case. But then DDoS is a higher level of DOS attacks, and it uses multiple systems to send real-time traffic in order to overwhelm the victim server. So let's just have a quick look on how DDoS work. So the attacker actually infects a set of devices using a malware. This malware can be sent using any phishing mails or messages. And once the attacker attacks all the devices, these are in control of the attacker. So these systems are commonly in cyber world is known as botnets, and the network connecting all of this network consisting all of this botnets is commonly referred to as the zombie network. So the zombie network is the network that the attacker controls to flood a targeted website or server with traffic. So and this is how the attacker is able to crash or disconnect the victim server from the internet by flooding a lot of traffic into the system. Now let's talk about the DDoS attackers' motivations. So it can be either hack activism. So in hack activism, it's a form of activism which we normally see in our scenario. But in this case, say for example, this is our e-commerce giant. So if there is somebody who has a bad feeling about the site, just wants to shut down the site in form of an activism, can do this. It can be cyber vandalism. It can be a cyber warfare. It can also be an extortion in order to get money from the company, or it can also be rivalries. As we have already seen, this is a highly competitive e-commerce platform and it has also have high competition. So in this case, we are not sure what was the motive, but these are some of the motives we have identified. Next, coming to the analysis, what do you all think that actually went wrong? You can answer this based on today's, in the light of today's class that we had. So you can answer it based on the managerial perspective or the technical perspective.
Yeah, actually, based on the case study, iPremium, they were lucky and fortunate that it was just a failed attack or attempt. The website was not actually hacked, but they were actually in the business of catering to all the premium customers and all the credit card information and all. So I think based on the options, that 4 options you were mentioning, they should shut down their services and do some introspection, and they should really invest to upgrade these cyber security measures and all.
This is not like a failed attack. They did attack. It is a DDoS attack. But yeah, we'll be considering the options in the later.
The hacker was actually not that successful to hack the website, so that damage was not there.
No, we are actually not sure of what exactly happened. We'll be delving into that further. So right now, could you guys give any hint on
what actually went wrong, like the managerial side?
So I'll talk about the technical side. So they had given the entire technical management to QData, which was actually not investing in advanced technologies. That was one of the main reasons. And also one of the founders of this iPremier company had a personal relation with QData, so he was not also ready to go for other companies.
Yeah, that is an answer. Yeah, sure.
Another one aspect which which is highlighted in the case study is that they had a emergency response plan, but it was not updated with respect to time, and most of the contacts and all were not updated. So that's one aspect which they need to update all the emergency plans and time to time.
From a management perspective, firstly, it's described that there was a very intense working culture, and the variable pay of the especially senior managers was entirely based on stock options. So the entire management's focus was on driving the stock price up, and that led to various steps like they should be very intense trying to get sales, trying to have the website up and running all the time without so much focusing on consolidating what they had already achieved as their customer base, looking at the risk part of especially cybersecurity. So there was never, like he mentioned, the business continuity plan was outdated because there was never a focus on it. There was no disaster recovery plan. There was no incident response plan. So there were a series of effects from a management side because of the entire focus on driving the stock price up.
With technical perspective, they were not storing the log data. They made a compromise in storing the log data, so which will lead them not to. Which will lead them to that not able to investigate the case in the future and identify what was the cause and found out who did it.
Yeah. So thank you all for the response. You were all correct. And in light of like today's class, if we are to tell a verdict, the thing is that the company iPremier didn't consider cybersecurity as one of their strategies. They didn't give priority, and has been rightly pointed out by Sir. It was their stocks or it was the profits that keep them driving. So they lack security and risk expert. And as we studied in today's class, actually being an e-commerce company, a top e-commerce company, they should actually follow some sort of a framework, or at least take into consideration the ISO standards or any other standards, but they failed to do that, and they didn't also have a contingency plan as well. So now, as Sir already told in the class, thanks that this attack actually happened. Now that iPremier will be more, into the cyber security and might take this as a strategy. Now handing over to Nitish to check what all can they do forward.
So now again back to you guys. Let's now consider for a moment that you are Bob, and let us continue with the case, because now the case ended at John calling Bob and saying that the attack has stopped. And now Bob is in the position of making a decision, because John said that the attack has stopped and the websites are up. So they can either continue to resume their business as usual, or they can shut down the systems, the servers, and then collect the data to identify what type of attack was it, from where it originated, to understand more about the nature of the attack. So considering that you are Bob, can you guys throw a light, or what should be done? Should they shut down the systems, or should they be resuming the business as usual? Any idea? Yeah, over to you.
I feel that they should shut down the system.
Okay.
Because rather than going by the personal interests of the people in the company, they should not be exposed to any other attack by any hackers hereafter. So it's better to shut down the company. Shut down the system.
Okay, good. So first of all, and it was even we are suggesting the same thing. Our immediate course of action should be to shut down the server systems to collect whatever data is actually present, and even in the shorter long term to conduct a thorough forensic audit. And the major reasons, as already mentioned, would be to understand more about the nature of the attack, and as Sir has rightly mentioned in the previous class, hackers try to exploit the vulnerabilities present in our system. So we should be able to be in a correct position to identify the vulnerabilities present in the system. This which will also help us to safeguard from the future attacks. And now, what will be the second immediate course of action? So considering or more take it up more as a follow-up question. So consider that you are now shutting down the servers. What should you be saying to the PR? Should you be saying that it is a regular server maintenance issue which we are trying to solve, or do you want to disclose that a cyber attack actually happened and we are in the process of rectifying it? So what would be your opinion on that? Yeah.
I think that they should disclose that it was a cyber attack.
Okay.
Because if there is any ethical problem in the future, as a good governance and ethical structure that a company has to follow, I think that they should disclose, because that would improve their trust among the stakeholders that they've actually disclosed the vulnerability that they had. So I think in the future perspective, it's better to disclose.
Yeah, so you're right. Because first they should dealing with the PR team, and maybe they can issue a press statement or at least a tweet which has been done recently, saying that there was a temporary unusual irregular attack that has happened on our systems, and they can say that they are trying to give more importance to the customers' privacy, and hence they are trying to resolve the issue ASAP. And the main reason for this is that, first of all, from the company's perspective, they are responsible for what had happened, because they did not have a proper crisis management team or even an incident response team. So first of all, they are responsible, and it is better to disclose it. And moreover, from the legal's perspective, tomorrow, if any customer comes up saying that my data has been stolen, and even if they try to sue the company, in such cases, if the company has already hid the fact, then it will be a major damage for the company. So considering the future actions as well, it is better to disclose. And that's what even major corporations like LinkedIn, Gmail, they do. Whenever they face an attack, they openly try to admit what has happened. So this would be the immediate courses of action. And well, now let us also consider long-term alternatives. Considering this happened, we have also tried to come up with long-term suggestions which the company can follow, and we have also listed them in the descending order of preference, our team's discussions preference. So the first one would be to replace QData, that is to outsource or contract a new service IT company for proper security reasons, because we already saw that QData's security management was outdated, and they also had a problem in retaining the staff. And the second alternative would be to develop an internal IT system, that is insourcing their own cybersecurity management and setting up their own teams and the servers and get them back up running. And the third alternative would be to recreate the whole architecture, which is by staying with QData but updating their own mechanisms, whatever they have, so that their long-term commitment also still continues while updating their procedures. And to be a bit more elaborative, we have also come up with the pros and cons of each alternative, so that will give us a better understanding, while in the descending order of preference as actually mentioned. And I will quickly go through this. So the main pro of replacing QData is that they'll be outsourcing to a major, either the top market player or a major market player, so that they'll be obviously having the state of the art infrastructure, and they'll be having improved defense mechanism with constant updates and patches, which unlike how QData was obsolete. And they obviously, post the attack, if they are switching to a major player, it will also have a positive attract over the public and leading to increased customer trust. And the three major disadvantages would be that now if they are switching, they have to work from the scratch, and because obviously, and this will also lead to increased spend on financial resources. And it will also be a time consuming process, because they have to migrate the data from the old server to the new company's servers, and there will obviously be a lot of switching cost as well as time consuming process. And moreover, third point, as mentioned, it affects the personal commitment with the owner of the QData. But again, at the end of the day, we have to do what serves the company best, and that's why we consider this to be the best alternative. The second would be to develop their internal IT system, because as mentioned in the article, it has already been mentioned that insourcing their own cyber security management team has been in their cards or in their bucket list for a long time, but they have been prioritizing their sales, as what one of our fellow mate mentioned, because of the stock options and other incentives. So a good time would be now to refocus their priorities. And the main advantage of this would be that they will be having full control over the database system as well as cyber security team. And since that has been insourced, they'll be quickly able to resolve the issues whenever they detect. So and moreover it will also be cost effective in the long run, but not in the short term. But definitely it will be cost effective and might even save a lot of billions of dollars of revenue for them in the long run. And again, the major disadvantage would be it will be costly. However, they have to install the servers, they have to hire a new team, maybe a lot of teams, cyber security teams, crisis management teams, and everything. Obviously it will again be time consuming, and the outcome is not guaranteed, because a new types of attacks start coming up daily, cropping up daily. So they'll have to be keep constantly updating, so they might not be as effective as the new market player, but still this can be considered worthwhile. And now the third alternative would be to retain their relationship with QData while recreating the architecture. But again, the advantage would be that it helps avoid the switching cost to a new market player for iPremier. It helps them save time in returning to normalcy compared to switching and migrating their data. And moreover, the long-term relationship is restored. But the con is that we never know, because already QData is performing bad. We never know how ready they are to accept to modify their terms as well as to their technology, and this updating process might again take a significant amount of time. That's why we consider it to be the last option in our data. So we consider it was an hope insightful and enriching session. If you have any questions, you can follow.
Excellent presentation, but I disagree with you. So your suggestion is that the company shuts down and does forensics, examines intensely whether customer data has been stolen, and put in place cybersecurity systems, and then restart their business.
Yes, sir.
And what is the guarantee that when you do all this and restart your business, customers will come to you? Because it's a very competitive market. Okay? There is Market Top, which is the major competitor, and this is niche product or high-end products that they sell online, and it is online. The moment a customer feels that my data is not secure, and it's not secure to do business with iPremier, I may not come back.
Yes, sir.
You shut down, you did a lot of things, that's fine. I have competitors to go to. So you may be actually shutting down your business itself. You may be closing your business. If you shut down and go for IT maintenance for a long time. So what do you think about it?
Sir, if we are not following this procedure as well, we believe that the company might shut down a few years down the line, because again, we are not sure who caused the attack and what has been stolen. So if we try to resume the business as usual, it might go okay, fine for a shorter period of time. But we should also remember that the person who were targeted also had the audacity to send with haha email messages. So it means that it was a proper targeted attack, and it is we can be 75% sure that there was some data that has been stolen, or they might have even installed some bots that might be transferring data internally without us noticing it. So considering these security risks, if we try to resume it as usual, business might go, but later on people this hack some other
Business
external
might
party.
go, business is gone.
No, if we are hiding the fact.
See, the issue is of customer trust. So if you hide that information that this attack has happened, then this information gets revealed later by whoever has done the attack. It might be the competitor himself is doing this attack on us, and he reveals it. Then the loss of customer trust later, when the customers find out, high clientele finds out that this company has been hiding information from me, it will be greater than what will happen now. Right now, we can take ownership of the situation and try to reassure our customers that we are working on it. There will be loss of customers.
So this is about shutting down your business or closing your business versus what potentially can happen in future.
Yes.
Which if there is a way to manage that, you may still be able to run your business. The other aspect which you are not considering is about job security. So this is Bob, and Bob is in the stock market. I think he is in New York, taking care of companies' stocks or publicity, but the company is attacked.
Yes.
And at the bottom, right? And it may not exist tomorrow. So won't some people be trying to safeguard their jobs? Because this is a company which easily fires people, and somebody has to take ownership. That they are also trying to pass bugs, or we can say they are trying to safeguard their jobs also, if you read it carefully. So if Bob doesn't have job tomorrow, how would the behavior change?
Well, actually, the point is during the case itself, Bob develops a new reason. He says, I've been there only for 3 months. How will you expect me to handle such a big crisis? So he's already developed that excuse which he is going to say. However, the CEO calls him, he gives him a very professional answer like, you take care of this problem, you get the business back up and running, which is your job. And he doesn't do any reprimand of Bob or no blaming of anybody. He wants the business to continue. So since the CEO is so focused and more professional in that manner, Bob can hope that he might still have his job. And at the same time, what Bob says is correct. He's only been there for 3 months, and perhaps he has overlooked the fact that the new company does not yet updated its business continuity plan binder as well as the incident response plan. So those things are things which he's going to be working on after this. And Joanne Ripley in the final part of the case also mentions when she accesses the data center, she talks about the firewall and she just makes the statement that no, our firewall is so bad, we should actually work on this. So she's been there for a long time. So with regards to job security, since the company has not focused on made cybersecurity a strategic priority, which is a high-level decision which the CEO is also going to be involved in making such a decision. So job security is not going to be much of an issue right now.
And moreover, the blame is partially on each of the senior management, right? From not having an updated binder, so everything from not checking the proper firewall, not checking their contracts with Q data and everything. So partially everyone is responsible. So we have to come together and make a good plan.
Yeah. So we are discussing what is internal now, but essentially your decision will have an implication for survival of the company and on the market. So if you are going by shutting down, then what's your PR strategy? Because what do you communicate to people? We are shut down because we are under cyber attack. May not work.
The PR strategy is, as Nitish had mentioned, would be like we would send a immediate tweet or a notice that such an incident as high level of traffic has been observed in our data, which is not as part of the usual behavior, and therefore we are shutting down this website to do some routine maintenance and check for any vulnerabilities.
Focusing on the solutions for how to go ahead, we saw that most of the big players like Google or YouTube, they have also faced similar situations, and Amazon, whatever. So everybody has faced similar situation, and what they actually did is they have told the public this is what is going on. So it is always better to let the public know exactly what happened.
And I would also suggest that not let the public know exactly what happened, but we can say that we are suspicious of some irregular traffic in the system. So we can maybe play with the words, because when we did some secondary research on what the major corporations did, actually the proper forensic data audit takes months or even years to come up with a proper report. So maybe initially what happens is the major corporations release a statement saying something has happened, then they are trying to get it back. And even after some few business days, 4 to 5, the business comes back usual and starts running. But the final report of what exactly happened, some corporations release years after. For example, in the case of LinkedIn, it was after 3 years they later came up and said that this many number of accounts have been lost, or they are in the jeopardy of losing their information. So the after effect might be a bit later, but right now shutting down for few business days is a better option, is what we consider, and we can let that know to the PR team as well.
It is the better of available worst options.
So So choosing among which is the lesser evil. That's what you're actually. But I think the most important thing to consider is the fact that this is a company which is in high competition. It is online, and it has to continue its business. Any option that leads to bankruptcy or closing of business, although it may be technically correct, but it is not correct for business. Okay. So that is the tension that we have here. So these are all risky options, but you have to choose among them. So therefore, that's why I asked, what is the PR strategy? If you're going by this, then there is a public statement one has to make why the business is shut. And that is a very, very important statement. And in one of the cases that come up, That itself was a discussion, and you can see how they made a public statement. Maybe the PR becomes the most critical aspect of your decision. On the other hand, you already evaluated. If you go by, well, business as usual, it is much more risky. I would say, if you know the reason as to why the attack happened, there was a failure, and why the failure happened is very clear to the organization or to the technical people, then you're fine. You have actually addressed it. Now you can go forward confidently. If you have taken corrective action and preventive action, then you can go forward. But in this case, the attack just stopped. The attacker stopped. They were at the mercy of the attackers. They just stopped. So somebody is having fun. And you haven't really diagnosed what was the problem. So what prevents the attacker from doing it again?
Yes.
And therefore, there is no option, but they have to actually find out. So that can further strengthen as to why the attack stopped. They don't know. If they run the business again, another day it can happen in the same way. Yeah. So therefore, it is important that they stop there and diagnose, correct, and then move forward. Okay, so that can be a strong recommendation. Okay, so let's wait for the B and C. Is there any other comment?
Regarding the recommendation, right? The second point, what you have said regarding the exposure to the public with the PR announcement. During the incident, the management was so concerned about the stock market, which may affect their business. And if you see about the incident's timing, it was a DDoS attack, which has happened in the early morning around 4 or 5, which is a non-business hours in perspective of a business, but it's since the e-commerce, most of the customers won't be able to use that site. And moreover, maybe 90-95% of the customers don't even know that the attack has even happened or not. So is it correct for the PR team to make an announcement which may affect their market or stock market when most of the customers didn't know about this attack? So whether it is good for the PR team to make such an announcement?
Say for example, in future they come to know, the public, that this attack has already happened, and the PR is just issuing a statement without mentioning the attack as such, but it's just server maintenance. And in the future, if someone from the public says that, okay, my personal data has been stolen, then again this PR only will have to face the public. So it's always better to reach out to the public and say what is happening.
Yeah, my concern is, shut down for how much time? What do you visualize how long it is going to take to implement all those safety measures and upgradation of the system? Normally, how much it takes?
Yeah, so it depends on the scale of data. And normally, when we did our research, like in 2 weeks,
or sometimes even business days.
might take at the data how much is the attack. So in our case, we really don't know the scale of the attack, but like when we did our secondary research, what we came to know that it depends, maybe just days, 1 or 2 days, or it might also extend till weeks.
Yeah, this is the CEO's question. That's the CEO's question. You want to shut down for how long? So that's the first question anyone would ask, and you don't know actually sometimes, right? And that answer is not acceptable. This is the sort of real life scenario that you will come across. They want you to tell the time, but you don't know. So uncertainty is not acceptable. So, but you are thrown into a situation like that, at this moment, and that is a dilemma in the case. And the other thing that one of the participants suggested that is normative. They should have had a parallel system, so they should have a hot side or a warm side or a cold side, some thing to switch to when an incident of this happens. But actually it is not there. They didn't have any strategies, cyber security strategy. They have to build all those. Okay, so you can just be wishful. This should have been there. That should have been there in this case, and should not take much time. Tell me how much time. Nobody is in a position to say anything, right? And that is a sort of attack that is depicted in the case. That's so it's an eye opener for the organization. This organization can die or can go forward. We do not know. So the case actually presents a real life situation where if you are not prepared and you are online, you can go out of business if you don't have cybersecurity measures. Okay? So we will wait for cases B and C with our sequels of these cases to understand more about what happens next. Okay, in the next class. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.